Tiger Tales.
Tiger Tales presents My Teacher Glows in the Dark by Bruce Coville, read by Mrs. Griffith.
Chapter 4 of My Teacher Glows in the Dark. This chapter is called Crock Dock. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying on a table in a room that was filled with soft green light. I was still naked, a tall alien who looked a little bit like a human crocodile, or at least like a human crocodile would look if it was red instead of green, was standing over me. Feeling better? Asked the alien softly. Actually, what he said was, Klakaka Grisbrat? But my brain heard it as feeling better. I sat up, got dizzy, and lay back down. What's going on? I whispered. I just did a little work on your head, said the alien, as casually as if he was announcing he had gone to the corner for a loaf of bread. I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to explain the situation before I started, but I hadn't been expecting you. What did you do? I asked, touching my head nervously. I installed a universal translator in your brain. That's why you can understand me. From now on, you'll be able to understand almost everyone you meet. We all wear them. It makes life quite a bit easier. As I said, I would have explained it before I did the work, but there was no way to make you understand. The only being on board who had an implant that would turn his words into your language was Broxholm, and he was tied up. Did the alien mean Broxholm was busy? Or had they really tied him up as punishment for letting some kids mess with his mission? With aliens, who knew? You can probably sit up now, said the brain surgeon. You just needed a moment to let your head clear. Moving slowly, I pushed myself to a sitting position. Where are my glasses? I asked. Do you need them? Asked the crocodile person, sounding surprised. I would say the crocodile man or the crocodile woman, but the truth is, I had no idea which, if either, it was. I looked around and blinked in astonishment. I had never seen things so clearly in my life, not even when I was wearing glasses. What happened? I cried. I thought as long as I was poking around inside your head, I might as well fix your eyes. Thanks? I said. I probably should have been more enthusiastic, after all. The alien had done me a real favor, but I still wasn't comfortable with the idea that it had been poking around inside my skull without my permission. On the other hand, being able to see so clearly without my glasses was wonderful. Thanks, I said again, this time more sincere. The red alien smiled, which meant that I got to see about 342 teeth, and said, Don't mention it. I heard a sound behind me. Turning, I saw another alien, though I couldn't spot the door he had come in by. He was short, probably not much more than 3 feet tall, blue, and bald. He had big eyes, a large nose, and a thick white mustache. He also had spindly arms and a potbelly. He was wearing nothing but a pair of baggy red shorts covered with pictures of jumping yellow fish. I had seen aliens who were frightening, aliens who were strange, and aliens who were almost indescribable. This one was the first one I had met who was cute. Greetings, Peter, said the newcomer. My name is Hulan. Actually, what he said was, Goringen, Nejrid, Peter, Perna, Pram, Hulan. But with my new implant, I knew exactly what he meant. His ears flapped as he spoke. To my surprise, I understood that this was his version of a smile, which meant that in my language, implant translated not only words, but gestures and expressions. When you think about how much of what you mean is carried not by your words, but by your body, that makes sense. It's just not the kind of stuff they usually teach you in French class. How are you feeling? He asked. I thought about his question for a moment. I feel fine, I said finally. The blue alien gave me another ear flap. I'm pleased to hear that, he said in his own language. As you probably suspect, in addition to receiving a language implant, you've been disinfected. We had to disinfect both you and Broxholm before we could allow you to enter the main body of the ship. That was why he could not be with you when you had your operation, for which you have our apologies. I was a little surprised to hear him apologize. It was also nice to know that The reason no one had told me what was going on when I first got here was because they couldn't communicate with me yet. Can I stand up? I asked, turning to the crocodile person. If you feel like it. When I stopped to think about it, I realized that I felt terrific. Had the croc doc tinkered with the rest of my system too? I decided not to ask. You wouldn't by any chance have some clothes I could wear, would you? Nose twitching, Hulan brought his hand from behind his back and tossed me a package wrapped in shiny black material. I thought you might want these, he said, especially since it's time for us to meet and visit the captain. The package contained my clothes, which were in perfect condition. I don't get it. I thought these had been lasered into pieces. They are computer recreations, said Hulan, but we put the disinfected scraps of what you had been wearing into the synthesizer and analyzed the fabric and design and then spit out a new set. These are identical to your originals, except that they are stain-proof and almost impossible to tear. If you wish, you can design your own clothes later. That was interesting. I'd never cared much about clothes, but if I could just tell the computer what I wanted, it might be fun to try a few different styles. Once I was dressed, I turned to the croc doc, as I now thought of him, and thanked him again for what he had done. He tapped his elbows together 3 times. According to my implant, that means he was glad to be of service, and he hoped that he would never have to eat my children. Let me tell you, this multicultural stuff can keep you guys on your toes. Follow me, said Hulan. I nodded to Croc Dot and got ready to follow Hulan out of the room. The only thing we needed now was a door. The little alien walked up to a place where the wall was marked by a large circle. Next to the circle were 12 rows of multicolored marbles. Hulan tapped 6 of the marbles, and the area inside the circles turned blue. Step through, he said, gesturing towards the circle. Through the wall? I asked nervously. It's not a wall, he replied, giving me a little shove. It's a transcendental elevator. Hey, I shouted, thinking I was going to smash my face against the circle. To my surprise, I stepped right through the circle. As I did, my whole body began to tingle. The tingling got stronger and stronger, and it reminded me of pins and needles you get when your leg falls asleep. Only this was all over my body, and it kept getting stronger. I wanted to shout, only I couldn't, because I had no mouth. But then, I didn't have hands, feet, or a head either. It's the end of chapter 4. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.